Welcome to our class, the 10 best crystals for tarot card readings. I'm really excited about doing this class because tarot cards for such a long time were really intimidating for me. There was a lot to learn about them. It felt kind of overwhelming. I wasn't really sure where to start. I didn't know which deck to pick or, the meanings of all the cards. It just felt really scary, like it was a lot to memorize. So I worked with oracle cards for years and years before ever really digging into my first tarot card deck. And in all honesty, a big part of it was just learning to trust my own intuition. Primarily, we're going to be focusing on the 10 best crystals for tarot card readings. Now, if you don't read tarot, if you only work with oracle cards, this is the same set of crystals I'd recommend for working with oracle cards. This is really about crystals that will support this process of doing readings. So whether you're working with tarot or oracle cards, these crystals will really support you on this journey of kind of learning and understanding how to work with cards and cartomancy as a divination tool, as a self-growth tool, as a spiritual development tool, and kind of where to go from there. So first, let's talk a little bit about the tarot. Tarot cards, of course, are a really popular method of divination that are used for receiving guidance and wisdom from the universe. And I like to make sure here and point out that people understand the tarot is not about telling fortunes, although it has been worked with in that way, in some circumstances. Primarily, the tarot is a tool to understand these archetypes that influence our life, these archetypes that we embody in our own lives, and these situational archetypes and energetic archetypes that we encounter along the way. And that's what makes them so interesting and so unique because, as humans, we all experience these archetypes in one way or another. We play these roles, we embody these energies, or we experience these energies or encounter situations that have these energies. And there's a lot to unpack with that. So each tarot deck consists of a really structured order, and you can break down a tarot deck, which is 99% of the time going to be made of 78 cards, and that's typical of a standard Rider-Waite Smith style deck. But there are a few decks, and we won't really get too much into this, that actually work on a 79 card system, and those really follow Aleister Crowley's form of tarot, and more of a Golden Dawn style tarot. So we aren't going to deal with that system. We're going to focus more on the 78 card system, which is more traditional in my viewpoint. And this can be broken down into major arcana and minor arcana. So the major arcana of the tarot are the cards that are 0 through 21. So there are 22 in total. And these are kind of the major archetypes that we need to get to know. I teach you how to work with your crystals to get to know the major arcana of the tarot and break it down a little bit at a time through a pretty unique way of uncovering and discovering more about those energies. Then we have the remaining 56 cards, which are known as the minor arcana. And these can be further broken down into 4 suits, each of which corresponds to one of the elements. Now, within those suits, those cards are numbered 1 or ace through 10. And then we have 4 court cards, the page, knight, queen, and king. So if you're a total newbie, that's kind of just a really broad bird's eye overview of tarot. It's broken down into major and minor arcana, and from there, the minor arcana are broken down further into suits that are then numbered or have court cards associated with them. So you can actually work with crystals to add more context to the cards in your tarot readings. Now, the cards that you see here in this slide are the Light Seers Tarot. I often get this question, and I do want to just pause to address it right off the bat before we dig into the rest of our class. How do you choose a tarot card deck, or what's the right tarot card deck to work with? And I'm going to encourage you to let this be the first step in empowering your intuition and letting yourself be guided by your intuition. Look at different decks, see which ones really call you in through their colors, their artwork style, their representations and symbolism. Some decks are really in-depth and they show a lot through their symbolism, and some are fairly simplistic. And there's beauty in both of those things, and there's depth in both of those things. So this one, again, is the Light Seers Tarot. This is a great deck. I probably have about 30 different decks myself, and I work with them at different times for different reasons or different moods, to be honest. So just find one that speaks to you, find one that you feel comfortable with. There are some really great ones that are historically based. There are some great ones that have been modernized. There's a lot of good out there. I mean, there's a lot of great artistry and passion that goes into the creation of modern decks. So yeah, I really enjoy kind of working with a variety of them. Okay, so I mentioned that we can work with crystals to really uncover more about tarot cards. This is because crystals have such a powerful energy vibration, and they help stimulate your intuition so that you can get more into a space where you can work with your cards, where you can tap into your intuition and look at what the deeper meaning and wisdom behind those cards is, so that you can receive that guidance. And having these crystals around for a little energetic support can make a huge difference in how you work with the tarot. So you can place these crystals in your sacred space or on your altar where you're doing a reading. You can just keep them near you. You can hold them for their energy, place them in your pockets. You could even create a crystal grid around yourself or around your reading space. You can wear your crystals as jewelry. I have my nice labradorite ring on tonight to stimulate intuition. So there are a lot of different ways that you can incorporate these crystals into your practice, into your tarot or oracle reading practice. I would encourage you, if you've never tried tarot before, to give it a go. It takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of understanding to get to know the cards. Once you kind of get to know each of the cards, your embodied knowledge of working with the tarot as a whole can really kind of come to fruition. So let's start with my list. These are my top 10 crystals. They're in no particular order. I want to mention that. It's not like number one is necessarily the best crystal. It's just these are 10 crystals that I recommend working with to enhance and improve your tarot reading practice or your oracle card reading practice. So first we're going to talk about Angelite, and you can see it here in its tumbled or polished form, which is most common, but I've also included a picture of a rough stone because you can on occasion find rough or raw, which is also called massive Angelite. The best Angelite comes from Peru. It's a gorgeous soft blue stone, and it's known for spirit guide connection. It's known for enhancing connection to your guides and angels, to help their messages come through in your readings loud and clear, to help those messages from your guides, from your ancestors, speak to you in a way that you're listening, that you're tuned in, and that you're letting those messages seep through. So Angelite has the power to invite these guides, angels, and ancestor spirits into your space to support you during your reading. Now that may be in the way of giving you direct guidance, that may be in the way of helping you hold space, that may be in the way of providing spiritual protection, of providing space for your own healing, for allowing you to sink into your feeling and emotion, to allow you to tap into hidden parts of yourselves or do deep shadow work. But this is all about holding that space and providing that space from another dimension. This is like bringing that realm down into our space where we can connect with it, where we can feel safer and supported by it. Crystal number 2 is amethyst. And of course, this one kind of has to make the list. Amethyst is a classic stone of intuition and divine connection to spirit. It's that deep purple color that corresponds so well with the crown chakra and third eye chakra. So this is a very important stone to have around while you're doing this work. Amethyst in and of itself, if you didn't know this, is actually a variety of quartz. So there are many varieties of quartz: amethyst, smoky quartz, rose quartz, clear quartz, citrine. Even things like agates and jaspers and chalcedonies are all varieties of quartz. So amethyst is a purple variety of quartz that gets its color from iron. And this stone helps you tap into your intuition so that you can decipher the messages that are coming through in your reading. On a side note, this is also a great crystal to work with for dream interpretation. If you get any symbols or visuals during a meditation or a guided journey of any type, amethyst really helps you tap into what the deeper meaning is, what your intuition is trying to say to you, is trying to tell you. This is a great stone because it's really helping you decipher those messages, right? There are some crystals that just help open our intuition so that we can receive, but when it comes to trying to figure out what is meant, that's where amethyst really shines. And I think there's not really a more appropriate stone for tarot or oracle card work, or really any type of divination, because that's what we're doing, right? We're taking all this data and information from our reading and we're trying to decipher it. We're trying to understand what that means for us and give it context in our lives. And so amethyst is one of the best crystals to help you do that. Wearing this as jewelry can be very helpful, especially over the heart. So you're kind of tuned in from both heart and mind, but also just having this crystal in your space, having it on your altar in your sacred space, can really help bring that supportive energy into the work that you're doing. Next up is black tourmaline. Black tourmaline. This is a crystal that is strongly connected with grounding and protection, right? That's kind of what most people know black tourmaline for and what most people work with this crystal for. This stone has the ability to help keep you safe and protected from outside energies while your psychic energy is at its peak. When you're in that intuitive space, you're energetically more vulnerable. And this crystal helps keep you grounded so that you can stay protected, so that you can shield and guard your energy. And this goes for, honestly, any situation where you're feeling really vulnerable emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. But this is a crystal that while you're in that space of slightly altered consciousness, while you're in that space of trying to focus on your intuition and shutting out the ego mind, shutting out the mindless chatter, it kind of keeps you safe from picking up outside energies. And I don't necessarily mean, a lot of people, they think I mean like negative spirits or entity attachments. And, if you were going to be doing like mediumship work or something like that, I understand the fear there, but this is something people bring up a lot when we're talking about cartomancy or any form of divination. Is there the opportunity that I'm going to welcome in any bad spirits or anything like that? No, this is more about keeping energetic clutter out of your space, energetic debris out of your space. Because think of it this way, when we are reading, we're picking up all these subtle cues. We're picking up the energy and information, in this case, from the cards that we're reading. But in many other forms of divination, that energy and information is coming through in different ways. But with cartomancy, like tarot and oracle cards, we're specifically looking at how these energies and messages are coming through, and we're trying to maintain mental clarity so that we can interpret those messages in the right way. And in order to do that, we need this clear, direct line of connection with those cards, with that energy. And when we're not grounded and when we're not shielded and protecting ourselves, we allow these outside energies to come into our space. And when that happens, they create energetic clutter or psychic debris. And then we're bombarded by all of these outside influences, as well as the energy and information from the cards that we're trying to read, and our interpretation gets skewed. So although something like amethyst can help with that clarity in interpretation, we still need to maintain our shielding, protection, and grounding so that we're keeping that outside energy at bay and we're really focused on what it is that we're reading in that moment. Next up is selenite. And before we even dig in this one, I want to address something I've been seeing like floating around on social media lately, which is that this isn't selenite. You see the picture here. A lot of people are posting stuff online saying this is not selenite. And here's the thing, I have to address this, you guys, because this has like become one of these like false things that's out there online right now. I'm going to tell you, this is selenite. People say that this is called satin spar, that it's not true selenite. Here's the thing. Geologically speaking, if we're looking at more specific mineral terms, selenite and satin spar are both forms of gypsum. Technically, selenite would be more transparent, and this type with the striations like this would be known as satin spar. There is technically a distinction here, but it would be like the difference between a crystallized rose quartz, like an celestial rose quartz, and a rose quartz that actually has natural pointed crystal growth versus a rough chunk, a massive piece of rose quartz. They're the same stone. The growth habit is just a little different. So are there subtle energy differences here? Sure, there are going to be subtle energy differences. And I have some of the clear selenite, and I have some of the striated satin spar. They're all selenite. They're all different growth formations of this same stone. So it's one of those things, it's really been getting under my skin. It's been bothering me. I wanted to address the myth here. This is not a fake crystal. It's not trying to be something it's not. It is selenite. So I just want to say that. And yeah, you know, like there's window pane selenite that's clear. There are selenite points that are more clear, like the ones from Mexico. This striated version of gypsum or selenite is from Morocco. It has slightly different characteristics, but it's still used the same way. It's still selenite. I just have to say that. Just got to tell you. Okay, so digging into how this relates to tarot, we just talked about the importance of protecting yourself, shielding yourself from psychic debris, from energetic debris in your space that can clutter up your ability to, with clarity, read the cards. Selenite helps ensure that your space and your aura are clear from psychic debris, which is a really important part of any successful reading. If you hope to be, you know, really focused on what you're doing, not distracted by outside energies and not picking up on things that are irrelevant, it's important to make sure that you work with a crystal that can clear this psychic debris. Black tourmaline can keep it at bay. Black tourmaline keeps you shielded, grounded, protected, which all help in making sure that your focus is on your reading. But selenite actually works to remove this energy from your aura and from your space. So to work with this crystal, yes, you can just have it in your space, on your altar. That's one way that will help. But if you are lucky enough to have a small blade or wand of selenite, you can hold it in your hand and actually sweep through your aura from your head down to your toes, on the front of your body, the sides of your body, the back of your body, and kind of comb psychic debris out of your energy field. Similarly, you can sweep through your space, through your actual space, to move energy out of your space, working with selenite. And this is a great alternative to burning cleansing herbs like sage and Palo Santo. You know, a lot of people don't want to burn these herbs, especially not in excess, because we need to be mindful of using up these important resources. So if you want a great way to cleanse your space without having to use these resources over and over and over again, you can sweep with selenite. It works great. If you want to finish that off by ringing some bells or some chimes in your space and using some sound to clear out anything else that remains, then you have like a perfect practice for space clearing. Okay. I'm going to go over to the next part of our slideshow. Next up, I'm going to talk about clear quartz. This is the purest of the quartz stones. It has no other inclusions in it, no other minerals in it, and it has the power to amplify intention and thought. So if you're holding the intention to receive guidance and clarity and to clearly interpret the messages from your cards, clear quartz will amplify that intention. And a lot of people talk about the concept of programming crystals. This is similar to that, but I make a distinction here. Programming, I feel like, is giving a directive. It's telling your crystal, this is what you're going to do for me and nothing else, which is really limiting to the practice. And instead, you can work with intention and set intention in your practice, that you maintain mental clarity, that you receive guidance, and that you clearly interpret your messages, and you ask for that or anything else that's for your highest good, anything else that may need to come through, because it's not always about your agenda. Sometimes the universe has very important things it needs you to know. So that's why I don't work with programming necessarily, but quartz is a great amplifier for your practice and can be really helpful to have around as a crystal companion. Okay, number 6 is rainbow fluorite. This is one of my favorite stones for mental clarity. Another good one is golden tiger's eye. But rainbow fluorite, and the best stuff, honestly, it comes from China. It has the most beautiful banding. You can find gorgeous clusters. You can also get really nice fluorite from Mexico and from a few places in Europe like England. But largely, some of the most beautiful rainbow fluorite comes from China. And it promotes mental clarity so that you can really stay focused on what you're doing and keep your mind from wandering. So if you've ever, started a reading and your mind just does that thing where it wanders off onto a tangent, you start thinking about like 4 readings ago, or you're thinking about your grocery list, or how you only have 10 more minutes before you have to pick your kids up from school or something like that, that gets a little bit murky, right? And then your focus is away from what you're doing, and that message isn't coming through the way it should be. So if you need to maintain your focus in order to truly feel into the reading and let yourself be in that intuitive space, rainbow fluorite can be really helpful. So again, great ways to work with these crystals are to wear them as jewelry, to have them on your altar or in your sacred space. You can also create vibrational sprays working with your crystals and mist in your space. There's just so many endless ways to work with your crystals. And yeah, a crystal grid as well. Next up, we have rose quartz. So rose quartz, it might seem like one that, like, how would that really benefit me during a reading? Especially if you're reading for someone else, this is like a must-have. This is a super gentle but powerful crystal, and it reminds you to stay heart-centered and compassionate during your readings. So this is a crystal that I love to have around if I'm doing a reading for someone else, just reminding me to stay in that heart space, to approach it with gentleness, with compassion, with empathy, without judgment. This is just about speaking from the heart, letting someone know what you're seeing, how you're interpreting things, what you see unfolding without that judgment, right? Because that's the last thing somebody needs. If they come to you for a reading, they're coming to you for support. They're being vulnerable with you. They're letting their guard down and letting you into their life. So be supportive of them by entering that space with compassion and without judgment. Okay, next up we have smoky quartz. Smoky quartz. So smoky quartz will help to keep you grounded during your reading, similar to black tourmaline, but this allows you to really connect with the energy of the earth while you're tapping into this higher vibe intuitive realm. Because you know what? So often we want to be way up here in that realm of spirit, because being in our bodies can be uncomfortable. We can deal with pain, we can deal with body image issues, we can deal with so many hurts and woundings that have taken place in this physical form, and being in your body can just be hard. It can be hard work, especially for those of you with chronic illness, with trauma in the body. It's not an easy thing to deal with. But if we're too much in spirit and we're never grounded and we're never in our physical being, we can't fully integrate the messages and what we're pulling down from spirit into the physical realm where we can put it into practice and put it into action. So we need to have balance between the physical and the spiritual. We need to have balance between those. And smoky quartz is a great crystal for helping you do that, because it is quartz. So it's super high vibe still, but it grounds you into the physical. It grounds you into this realm, into this body, so that you're able to maintain your connection with the spiritual and intuitive realm while you're in your body. And we need that as a reader. We need that. Whether you're reading for yourself or reading for somebody else, it's really important. Not to mention, it's highly clearing. You know, we so often think of crystals like selenite for energy cleansing. Smoky quartz is also an amazing cleanser. It just disintegrates negative energy right out of your aura and out of your space. And I say negative energy not to make a distinction between positive and negative, like good and bad. Negative energy just meaning all the energy that's cluttering up your space and your field that's not for your highest good. And remember, these are not in any particular order. They're not ranked or rated. These are just my top 10. Next up, we have labradorite, which again, you know, I'm wearing tonight. And I have my big giant smoky quartz behind me because this is the space clearer and the ultimate grounder. So labradorite, though, has this amazing flash known as labradorescence, and it's named for an area in Canada called Labrador. That's where it was first found, and that's where it gets its name from. But the best quality labradorite today comes from Madagascar, and it most often has this flash that ranges from yellow gold to orange to blue, sometimes green, and rarely pink or purple. So this is a super stunning crystal to work with and look at and enjoy and appreciate, but it has the power to stimulate, activate, and open your third eye so that you can really step into your intuitive gifts during a reading. I mean, this gets you like right there in that center. So if you're one that has a hard time with visualization, if you have a hard time with trusting your intuition and allowing yourself to get into that intuitive space, labradorite can help you do that. It's so supportive for helping you not only feel out and seek those intuitive messages, but to then trust those intuitive messages that you've received. Because there's a certain amount of trust that you have to have in yourself and in your abilities, and we can't let our conscious mind, our ego mind, always second guess the messages that we're receiving. So labradorite really helps with that as well. And our final crystal in our top 10 is citrine. Citrine. So citrine really allows you to brace your courage and enhance your self-confidence as a card reader. And I would say if you've been feeling really stuck, if you've been unwilling to want to dive into tarot cards, if you've been reading for yourself for a long time and you dream of reading for other people, but you're too scared to do it, or you don't have that self-confidence you need, work with some citrine, because this helps promote successful outcomes. Citrine is a stone of success and abundance as well. So by supercharging your self-confidence, it lets you step into your own success. It empowers you to feel comfortable with your own abilities. And so I've shown two varieties of citrine here. On the right, this is a natural form of citrine, and on the left, the point there, that is heat treated. Now, you'll see a lot of people call this fake citrine, because what it is amethyst that is removed from the earth and then heated by humans to turn it this golden color. And here's what I'm going to say about this. I personally work with natural stones whenever I can. I just feel better about it. I like the energy of natural crystals. I don't personally work with any man-made crystals or dyed stones. However, I do sometimes work with heat-treated stones, and here's why. First of all, natural citrine is really hard to get. And I will tell you, there's a lot of citrine on the market that's being marketed as natural that is not. It's just a fact. There's a lot that is just not natural that is being sold as natural. And here's the other thing, like, you can't always find the natural stuff. And sometimes when you do find it, it's really cost prohibitive. And I know that as much as us crystal lovers like to spend a lot of money on our crystals, it's not always doable. It's not always feasible. And natural citrine can get really expensive really quickly. So if in the meantime, when you can't find natural citrine or when it's out of your budget, you need to work with the heat treated stuff, there is nothing wrong with that. Like, heat treated stones, in my opinion, and this is just me, I can't speak for every crystal healer out there, and I know there are some other people that really disagree with me. Heat treated stones to me are fine. I won't work with man-made, I won't work with dyed, and I will not work with irradiated stones, artificially irradiated stones, because that actually changes the composition of the crystal. Heating the stone does not. True heating. Sometimes the term heating is actually used for artificial irradiation, and that's a whole nother thing we don't even have time to get into. But in terms of how you can tell if a crystal is natural or man-made or not, that depends on the specific exact crystal, and I don't have time to teach a whole lecture on that. I will direct you to something that I have on Instagram. So if you want to follow me over on Instagram at Love and Light School, I do have a highlight reel, and it's all about crystal fakes. And these are solely and only fake crystals that I've spotted at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show over the last 2 years. But in terms of fake citrine, it can be fairly easy to spot. Natural citrine has more of a smoky gold color, while heat-treated citrine is typically brighter yellow to amber to a dark burnt orange amber color. So it's a lot brighter or very, very dark brown in color, and it usually has a whiter base. Not always, because it depends on where the crystal was detached, but just as we often see amethyst, the way that it grows, have a whiter base, when they take that amethyst and heat it, the white still remains, and just the purple part, once it's heated, turns yellow. So yeah, we need to just be mindful and educate ourselves about what we're purchasing before we purchase it. So if there's a crystal that you're wondering about, do I need to worry about this as a fake? Do a Google search, fake malachite, fake moldavite, fake aquamarine, and look up and see, are there known fakes on the market, and how do you tell? That's really it. So yes, I don't work with dyed, artificially irradiated, or man-made crystals, but I will on occasion work with heat-treated stones, because that's largely what's commercially available. And yeah, sometimes that's all you can get your hands on. And it doesn't change the structure of the crystal, but it's not quite the same as the real deal stuff either. And until I see you again, wishing you very many crystal blessings.